Hey everybody, Papa Wiggs here with Wiggs. We're going to do our Thursday night football recap here. Broncos versus Saints. Um, Not much to say here. It was crazy. It was not a really exciting game, but we didn't think it was. Broncos ended up winning 33 to 10. It turned out to be exactly the way I thought it would be. Spencer Rattler was going to have trouble against the Broncos defense, even with Surtain out. Uh, the one thing I got to give the Broncos defense props for is they held Kamara in check. He only had 10 yards rushing. He had 6 receptions, but only for 14 yards. They were out. Olave was out. Uh, Rashid was out. They're fighting injuries big time. Bo Nix had an okay game. Wasn't great. He's still got to work on his accuracy. I don't know. There was one video, one clip that I watched, when I was watching through some of the highlights where he had two wide open receivers and he threw the ball in between them and it dropped and it wasn't even close to either one of them. It was in between them. You know, that's going to happen. They didn't need him because Javonte Williams, what did we say, Wiggs? They needed Javonte Williams to have a big game against the Saints defense. He did. 111 total yards, 2 touchdowns. It was like 80 some rushing yards out of that. So he against the Saints defense, that was good. Even though the Saints defense hasn't been playing that great, the Broncos really needed um, Javonte Williams to have a big game, and he did. This Broncos team, you know, they're kind of surprising, Wiggs. I don't know what you think, but and then I want to call out Wiggs because he did mention about Troy Franklin, in his starts, and he didn't have a crazy big game, but he did have 5 receptions for 50
I
yards.
had him on my set.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had Sutton as my start.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
I
thought you had
had those
Franklin.
guys flipped.
Oh, my fault. Well, either way, Franklin did have 5 receptions for 50 yards. So, um, but yeah, it just was not a fun game to watch. The Denver defense had a touchdown on a fumble recovery. Spencer Rattler kind of got shook up at the end of the game there, and so their backup came in for a couple series. So yeah, I just think this Broncos team is getting better each week. And Sean Payton's living with the mistakes that Nix makes. Interesting tidbit, though, I did see after the game a little discussion between Payton and Kamara. And Kamara made the comment of, hey, bring me over. So I don't know what that means, but um, that would be interesting if Kamara went over to the Broncos. Don't think that Sean Payton isn't thinking about that. So Wiggs, I know you didn't get to see the game and stuff, but you got any thoughts to add?
Well, just from watching the highlights, and you hit the nail in the coffin with the Bo Nix missing Sutton, and I want to say Franklin might have been the other one, or it might have been one of the tight ends. But how do you drop the ball right in between two of your guys? Like Sutton would have had a touchdown if he got him the ball. I think even the receiver or tight end that was there could have had the touchdown too. Like, that was, don't get me wrong, you're in a blowout and it is what it is, but like you still gotta hit your guys, like run up the score, like pat your stats a little bit, like keep the momentum going. But like we said, you got to get the run game going. We've been pretty, I think, spot on with teams needing to get the run game going, and then they have a player pop off. So it's a big key part of the offense. The same with your tight ends. Like I'm surprised, truthfully, that the Broncos blew out the Saints like they did without really getting like a tight end involved. But when you have a running back who typically doesn't do anything, pop off and have a good game, I guess it doesn't really matter as much. But
Yeah, it's crazy. All I got to say is I would have thought it would have been reversed here. I would have thought right now after week 7, the Saints would have been 4-3, and the Broncos would have been 2-5. But it's not that way. The Saints are obviously missing Derek Carr for sure. They came out strong at the beginning, of the season. Now they've tapered down
Lost 5 straight.
and they've lost 5 straight. And they're in jeopardy of even having a shot at the playoffs if they don't turn this thing around quick. They need to get Derek Carr back. They need to get a receiver, in there that's healthy. Hopefully they'll get Olave back soon. They're kind of a mess. And on the flip side of it, I think the Broncos are surprising a lot of people right now. And to be quite honest, I wouldn't want to play the Broncos right now with the way their defense is playing. Their defense, yeah, granted it was against Rattler, but they were down 13 and they still played an outstanding
Well, you look
game.
at their defense in like prior weeks too. I mean, you're shutting down someone like Aaron Rodgers a few weeks prior. It's just re- realistically, this Broncos team is literally just like one step away on the offense from being like a top dog right now. Like if they can figure out their offense, their defense will come up clutch, and if you can just start running up the score, kind of like you did this week in and week out, and get your running backs going, your wide receivers going, like they're going to be really hard to beat. I mean, their defense is already hard to beat, but if their offense gets going, like full on going this year, they're damn near impossible to beat. It's
Yeah, and it's
crazy.
not like they don't have weapons. They do have weapons. Obviously they may not be, the big name weapons people want to hear at receiver, but Cortland Sutton's a really good
Oh, he's really
receiver.
good.
So they just need to figure it out. They need to get on the same page with Bo Nix and you know what? They're just trying to live with the mistakes that he makes, and learn from it and improve each week. And I think that they're doing that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they you know finish off the. We're getting almost to the halfway part of the season, which is crazy. I can't believe it's almost halfway over, but we're getting close to that part. So it'll be interesting to see if the Broncos do make a move though, and they bring in for some reason, for some crazy reason, they bring in like Kamara. Oh my God, that they could definitely be
Well, they'd be
insane.
insane. Yeah, because then I feel like Camaro would just bring a next level type run game to the offense, and then his receiving abilities are insane. And Sean Payton will design stuff around him if they were to get him. So
Right, and they would, and I don't even think it would take a hit to Javante Williams.
no,
I think it would a little bit, but I think that there would be a lot of two running back sets, where Camaro would break out or Javante would break out, and
yeah,
and Peyton would try to get them the ball. So it'll be, it's fun to dream like that, but you never know. It's going to be a crazy couple weeks here
and
with the trade deadline coming up, and if the Saints keep losing, it wouldn't surprise me if they just got Kendra Miller back. It wouldn't surprise me if they looked at trying to get some draft capital for Kamara, for next year.
this year would be perfect for them to do it too. Kamara's getting up there in age, so if you can utilize the fact that you could trade him away and get some picks or something out of the deal, like it'd totally be worth it. Or even if you could get a pick and like McLaughlin in return and have like another running back there, like they would have. I think this is the best opportunity for him right now because Kamara is pushing 30 now. I think he's 29 or something like that, same age as CMC, and you realistically would want to shop him now rather than waiting a year. And I think we likely see Kamara off the Saints before the trade deadline, in my opinion. I don't know if it's going to be with the Broncos, but I think just in general, he's not going to be on that team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially if they keep losing. Like if they lose next week, if the Saints lose next week, I think they play next week. Um, I can't remember when their bye is, but if they lose next week, I could definitely see them exploring the option of possibly trading him when they could. I don't think they'll get a player for him, but I definitely think they could get a pick or two. I don't think they're going to get a crazy high pick for him, but if they could get one or two picks for him, and one of them was like a conditional fourth round that could be moved up to a third round depending on how he did or something like that, I could definitely see a team possibly making that trade, especially if they're in the contention for playoffs for sure. So Vikings, hint hint. Not that it'll happen, but
They won't make any moves. They're stupid.
so. But anything else to add, Wigs?
No.
All right. Well, hey, check us out at Fantasy Fools PPR on YouTube. We're also on Snapchat, X, TikTok, Instagram. Like, share, subscribe. If you got any feedback or questions, reach out to us. And until next time, we'll see you soon.